3. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the post-match review. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Manchester United 0. And this season just keeps on getting worse and worse. And now a lot of people are probably thinking, Nick, why are you wearing those glasses? Is it to protect your eyes? Is it, harmful lights and these kind of stuff? It's to protect myself from watching that bag of shit week in, week out. I am sick to death of watching this awful, awful, awful team, man. This is Spurs we're talking about, people. Tottenham Hotspur have been worse than us all season. I know many people may have not... a lot of us probably expected it, speaking in the chat amongst ourselves. But we've now reached a new low, I think, after this. And it's gonna get worse and worse given the nature of the injuries as well. But, Shreyas, I'll kick it off with you. Spurs have now beaten us 3 times this season, scoring 8 goals. It's starting to become too much pain now, isn't it? At that point,
it is. And the worst part about this whole situation is, even when I look at our fixture list till the end of the season, there's not one game I look at and go, yeah, we'll win this. So it is a very tough situation to be in. And the worst part is, clubs that are, like you mentioned as well, are probably having a worse season than us, or at least comparable when it comes to performances than us, are also able to beat us quite effortlessly. We didn't, Spurs as well, the way they moved throughout the game never really looked like they were under a lot of pressure. They dictated the game, they pressed quite well, they were more aggressive than us. So if teams who are near us can perform like this against us, I just don't know, what level do we actually stand at this moment. And as the games go by, and with the injuries as well, it's just going to get more and more concerning by the time the season actually ends.
Yeah. Civir, talk me through that goal that they scored, because it was quite early on, wasn't it? What was your thoughts as that trickled in from James Maddison?
But I don't really know what's there to talk about. I mean, it was kind of expected, but unfortunate at the same time. Was it a pullback? No. Oh yeah. I think someone took a shot on Anna.
Yeah. So Onana parried it,
he parries it, yeah, and then it kind of falls into, and Maddison is onside when that happens, and the defensive line just stays there, and it's just one of those things,
Yeah.
That goes in. But I'm trying to remember what happened before the goal.
It was just like it was across to the back post, wasn't it? Dallow's back post, obviously. And then kind of, I think Tell snatches at it across the box, bobbles about, Bergvall shoots, Onana parries, Maddison scores, basically.
Maddison scores, yeah. I mean, I don't know what else to really.
Well, shit. You could just leave it at that, mate. No problem. Yeah. We're gonna dive into other specifics momentarily, but Sam, your feelings that you look fed up, mate?
Yeah. Yeah. So many specifics I'd love to get into and just sort of.
Well, what's the biggest one that stands out for you? Let's start with that. What's the most irritating thing about that performance? I know there's a lot.
Garnacho's refusal to acknowledge Dorgu's underlaps or overlaps every single time,
or any left backs for that matter,
or any left backs for that matter. Just he's constantly overlapping or underlapping. The space is there. He's an option to get a ball into the box, and he just ignored him every single time and tried to go in for a shot. And then on top of that, his finishing was fucking abysmal.
Yeah,
like I cannot believe how bad his finishing was. Every single shot was either at the goalie or completely gone. Like that the city that he had, he just skied it. He's just like, what are you doing, man?
That was awful. Then,
the refusal to just sort of pass to Dorgu, who I thought of all the players had a good game. I think Xerxes maybe had a decent game, but Dorgu had a really good game, and he just ignored him for the most part. And I'm just like, how are we supposed to develop a left-hand side if you just ignore your left back all the time? Just that. I was going mad at that. I really was going mad at that.
Yeah, Garnacho's a frustrating one, Tres, because it feels like the ball does land to him quite a lot. And we appreciate, the kid's still 20 years old. He's still learning his trade and he's still raw. But it does become really frustrating when we have that many chances and he keeps missing every single one of them almost. Or not only just that, to add on like another layer, when he gets into an important position and you're like, right, like Sam touched on there, overlapping run or put the ball to the back post or square it for Højlund. he never seems to make the right decision at all, does he? And I'm not just focusing on Garnacho. I don't just want to single him out because there's a load of other players that were shit. But just talking specifically at the minute.
Yeah, and I think the more disappointing part has been that just focusing on the game today, the chances that he had were not really, difficult chances that he has to take the shot first time within this, space of 3 seconds and actually land it right at the bottom corner. He had some time. He just had to get his body placement right and just parry it in. And I think any other left winger, I would say, in the league probably has that chance in the back of the net most of the times. And considering how much we lack in creativity and how much we lack in actually, getting chances in front of goal, missing out on that chance probably sealed the game for us. Because after we actually missed that, I didn't really see us getting a goal from any sort of outlet once that chance, and the way we actually missed out on that chance, just didn't fill me in with any sort of confidence. And Garnacho is probably one of the attackers that we've got who at least gets some chances in front of goal at least most games. If you have to compare it to Højlund, if you have to compare it to Xerxes, I think Garnacho is still someone who at least gets half chances more in comparison to those players. So you do expect him to make some better decisions in certain moments, but I think the most that we can expect from him right now is that, he actually gets more involvements in front of goal, because his best ability is whenever he's playing in a team where he's allowed to be more direct. He's not someone who's going to be that sort of creative outlet in and around the box. He's trying to do that. He's trying to put that in his locker, and I see it that he's, trying to make more cutbacks, trying to actually take the ball out wide, open a lot more channels for the tens to move into, but it doesn't come to him naturally and comfortably. That's why, he's a bit hesitant. It takes him a little more longer to actually be, occupy himself in those positions. So the attack right now is just not in sync. It's not coordinated. And you can see it across the entire front three with Garnacho, Xerxes, and Højlund. All three of them, they don't know where the rest of them are actually going to be positioned.
I don't know what's going on here. Are we just copying outfits at this point, Sam? We're literally.
I'm just going to see how far I can take it.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Why don't we just add a layer every time we lose a game? We just fucking add something on. Next to be some earrings or some fucking. I don't know. Garnacho. I saw a stat before actually on him saying he's got the worst big chance conversion rate of players to have at least 10 big chances in the Premier League. 2 out of 14, which equals 14.3%. Which obviously just is no way near good enough. But amongst that, Chivy, there was other talking points. The midfield, Gary Neville, I mean, I at this point, I thought he was a Tottenham fan the amount of times he was just slagging off United. He was right in what he was saying in terms of like everything that was going on, Bruno getting dragged out, Casemiro, etc. But that was a problem more game as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't care how good you are as a midfielder. Once you're outnumbered, like it's always going to be, it's always going to be an uphill battle for you. And yeah, Bruno was awful. He was really, really
Can
bad.
I say, sorry, very quickly, that was one of the worst performances from Bruno I've ever seen. Ever.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. It was really, it was bad. But like with the way Tottenham played, because they had Bergvall, Maddison, and Bentancur in that midfield, and they just ran us ragged. It was like a rondo. It was like how they play the rondos. Like, they were literally just passing the ball around us. And I don't care how good of a midfielder you are. If you're outnumbered, there's always going to be an uphill battle. And that's pretty much what it was. Now, I'm not letting Bruno off the hook. I'm just talking about the midfield in general.
Yeah.
Especially defensively, like it was really, really bad. And it was one of those things that I kind of just I just lowered all my expectations going in, as far as, after the first 5 minutes, I just knew, okay, this is going to be one of those games. Offensively, he could have been a lot better, but this is the problem I have with Bruno, is that the game, and this is why I have a problem with him being the captain. And I've always been adamant about it, is that when the game is slipping away from you, you need a player with sort of character to have a cool head and pull everyone else as well. When the game starts slipping away from Bruno, Bruno goes away with it. Like, he progressively got worse from his performance, and you can tell that he was in his head. And that's not what you want as a leader. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the biggest issues I've had with him being the captain, because he just kept getting worse and worse, and his decisions kept getting worse and worse. Now we kept trying to exploit the spacing behind Spurs. Every time we got the ball, there was a switch that was always on.
Yeah.
And you could just tell that his delivery was just worse, and that he was just making the wrong decision every single time. And the amount of times that he put us in a bad situation, and Spurs could have capitalized so much more than they did already.
Yeah.
You know, just from his performance, and it was really bad to see. But then at the same time, I wasn't really surprised because we've seen that from Bruno quite often. He loses his head. He's too passionate.
Yeah.
Just too passionate, and it really just fucks with his mind. And no matter what Bruno does, he never gets subbed off. I know now we've got, we don't have anyone on the bench, so. But then I think it's one of those ones where, I don't understand how a player at his age and the experience he has, how he's not able to learn from this. Like, it's happened before so many times, and But then I'm not surprised. It's a nothing game for me. I'm more focused on the cup games and stuff. Like, it's as far as we can avoid relegation, as crazy as that sounds, as a Man United fan.
But it's not though, because we've got Everton and Ipswich next.
Yeah, and these are we could be 16th, 17th at some point, like really, really battling this thing. So yeah, it's one of them ones.
It's annoying, isn't it, Sam? Because I look at individual players and I see the qualities. Like a couple of times, Bruno, for example, near the edge of the box, put some really good crosses in, or Casemiro did some really nice first-time passes or balls in behind, and you're like, okay, I quite like that. Like, and he was doing it on a regular basis. But it's so much off the ball as a partnership. You can see why he's not playing effectively, Casemiro, now, can't you?
Yeah, I'm sure Chivy's going to dive in now and tell me I'm wrong and tell me I'm full of shit. So
no, but yeah, let's talk about that at some point. But go on.
He's like, I think Chivy's got a problem. Chivy's got a point with the fact that the midfield, the space that we have to patrol is ridiculous. Like, that we have to keep hold of. There's like 3 miles worth of space that Bruno and Casemiro have to sort of keep safe from the likes of Kulusevski, Maddison, and who's the other one playing? Is it
Bentancur?
Bentancur. Yeah.
Yes, Bentancur, and Maddison.
Yeah, and then you had Kulusevski coming back as well, didn't you? Back centrally, so he was in the mix as well. And then for some reason, Bruno was going out to the wing as well,
yeah,
like in defending
up on
there.
That side,
I was just
players.
like, so it's like every time he voided it, there's just Casemiro by himself, and you're just like,
which happened under Ten Hag.
Yeah, I don't understand the logic. And then, so if you're gonna do that, Casemiro ain't your guy because he's got 0 legs. He's rashing tackles. All he wants to do is the no touch pass. Like, just comes in and he hits it first time, no matter what the situation is. That's what he does, which puts you under pressure sometimes. When it comes off, it looks great, but when it constantly puts you under pressure, I'm always afraid he's going to get sent off because some of the tackles that go in are just insane because he hasn't got the speed to catch up and get hold of the ball. So if you're going to play this system, he can't play. You cannot play him. You have to have a midfield 3 if Casemiro is going to play there. So I just don't understand like why we allow Casemiro when he's clearly not got the legs. He's not good enough to do that job. And well, I'm sure we'll get on to the fact that there's youth players sat there and there's going to be discussion about, do you want to throw them into this shit? Do you want to like disrupt their courage, their sort of confidence and stuff? But then at the same time, you're thinking, can he be any worse than what's on the pitch right now? Like, do you know what I mean? Can Sekou Kone be any worse than what we're seeing? Can Chido Obi be any worse than fucking Garnacho right now? Like,
but hypothetically, if there's a situation, right, where you go, right, okay, let's throw Sekou Kone on, and there's a period where Kulusevski picks his pocket, they go and score or something like that, that could be more damaging than just giving someone a run out for 10 minutes. That's the
two sides of the argument, isn't it? Like, it's, can he be any worse? And sometimes you see youth players come on and they provide that an injection of like pace and confidence because they have no fear because they've not been through all the games that these other players have that's clearly affecting them mentally. They sometimes come in and just create something and do something and it sparks something. So that's sometimes what happens. And I get your argument as well. You don't want to chuck him in, and if he does have a bad moment, it ruins it. So there's 2 sides of the argument. Both of you are right. People who said the youth should come on and the people who said they shouldn't. I agree with both of you. I think that it's both a valid point.
Can I chime in on that as well? Shreyas, do you remember a guy called James Wilson? Have you heard that name? James Wilson.
He won't know. He won't know who he is.
James what?
James Wilson.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Do you know Makeda?
Yeah.
Federico, exactly. So Wilson played more than Makeda years after Makeda. But there's not too many people who remember him. But remember Makeda because Ferguson got pissed off, takes off Rooney, takes off Tevez, and plays Makeda where a lot of people didn't even know. And he won us the league. That game at Aston Villa, that is the game that actually propelled us to go on and win the league. So sometimes you have to take that risk. I understand this with kids, but I think sometimes we're a little bit too careful. We're a little bit too scared to put kids in certain positions. But if you're hungry enough, I think sometimes the game calls for it to happen. And Fergie didn't hesitate. He takes two of them off and he plays Welbeck and Makeda. And Welbeck at the time was nowhere near a senior player. Like he was still one of like the under 18s or under 21s, and that's why Makeda came on, scored that game, scored the game after against Sunderland.
And then we never saw him again, did we? Never played for
but the point is, we still remember his name.
Yeah.
And years after, we had players like James Wilson who came on and scored lots of goals. People don't really remember him. There's so much. So sometimes you just have to take that risk as a manager and just play the youngsters, just throw them into the deep end and see how they fare. So I get both sides of the argument. I'll just quickly touch on the thing about Casemiro. I wasn't like defending him and saying, he's not without blame or anything. The only thing I was saying about that was in attack, he was so much better for us from the midfield.
Yeah.
In attack, like moving the ball forward, he's that good. But I think the thing with Sam is just Sam sees red. Once the players start playing, he just sees red, and Sam, it's hard to convince Sam about anything.
It's not
else.
one game though, is it, Chivy? Come on, like this is not one shit game.
No.
This is
I think you're proving his point.
Season and a half of a game. But
this is the point I'm making. I'm talking about this situation in isolation, but you immediately will just jump on the whole thing, and it's just like, you're always backing the players. And at some point, when Manchester United fans, I completely get it. Like it's in our DNA to back the manager regardless. That's how it is. But I like to look at the intricacies of the game. And sometimes the manager has to pick up some slack. The manager has to take accountability. We were outnumbered in that midfield, and there was nothing that was done to rectify that. Even though we know we're playing a player who doesn't have the legs, and being outnumbered, and then you have the wingers stretching the defenders. So there's no defender that can step into the midfield to add that extra body in there to actually help us. So obviously we're going to see terrible performances from him. I'm not saying he's like the best player or he's without criticism at all. I was just talking about the attack. But I get it. Like it's almost people are just not allowed to criticize the manager as a Man United fan. It has to be the players every single time, and
I wouldn't know. I want to get into the manager.
Been through four managers. Every single one of these players has underperformed and chucked the manager under the bus. At what point does it become the player's fault? Like at what point?
It's not the same. It's not the same players. The players are
pretty much it's the same players.
How is it the same players?
These are the players that chucked Ten Hag under the bus. These are the players. Some of these players were here under Ollie. So it's ridiculous at this point.
Maguire and who else? Like Lindelof, who doesn't play. Like
can't be fit. He's still at the club. Why is he still here?
Anyway, yeah, Nicky, we're gonna jump in.
No, I'm just letting you guys go. Don't worry about me.
What biscuit is it?
The point I'm making is but then imagine if Real Madrid had that same idea, like just never, like sometimes I'm not saying I'm a remote or anything, but I'm just saying you can't, as a manager, you have to take responsibility for certain things, and you're allowed to look at things in isolation without actually saying, it's always the players. I don't just blindly back players. Like you have to look at the whole situation. But Real Madrid did this the whole time. Like they never took anything. If a manager didn't perform, you were out, and it took them 10 years
But that was
they got the
also
right
because
manager.
they had a Galactico model. They had world-class players there. If they did change a manager, it's not too much of a gap. We've got a bag of shit. We've got players in this team that are not technically good enough, that are not physically good enough. You need time with the manager to change that, because if you keep chopping and changing again, you're going to have the same mixed bag that you've got. If another manager comes in now and like, I want to play a back four, like, oh, fucking hell, I just brought,
No, but I'm not saying sack Amorim. Nowhere near that. I'm just saying,
he's
but
definitely
just
made mistakes, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
And I was just because you back a manager doesn't mean you're not allowed to criticize him.
Yes,
that's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's accountable for some of the mistakes today, for sure. Shreyas, I want to bring you in on this because you've been patiently thinking. In your mind, because we're talking about things like the midfield here, we're talking things about the attack. How much for you is it on the way we're setting up? Is there an imbalance there? What can the manager actually do with the options that he's got at his disposal? Speaking specifically about today, like what upset you about the way we set up today?
I think one of the things is that, and this is something that even we mentioned a lot of times on the channel, that this is going to continue to happen till the season ends. He's not going to shift the system. He's not going to be making tweaks. He's going to stick with this formation, and the players who are assigned to this specific jobs in this position, it doesn't matter which profile or which player is playing in that position. The job is going to be the same, whether it's Casemiro, whether it's Ugarte. They have to do the same cleanup job. They have to be the same mobile and agile midfielder who is able to make the ball recovery and spread the ball out into the attacking tens and then spread the play out as well. So the job is the same, but he's not going to delegate certain roles of the job to other players so that the pressure actually eases off. That which is something that I think that when you have a big injury crisis, you need other players to chime in, take some of the pressure off, provide a couple of more options, because Casemiro is not that player who can scan very quickly now, especially when he's being pressured. He's going to be clearing the ball out the first moment that he gets. And if we allow him to actually get like 2 to 3 channels where he can make that interlinking pass and then make those diagonal passes, which he still can do, that's when you can still get something out of him in this system. If you want him to make the recovery, if you want him, and after making the recovery, you want him to spread the ball out accurately enough for us to actually make that counter attack, there's going to be mistakes. We're going to be losing out on the ball, and we're going to be getting hit on the counter every single time that the opposition actually gets, which we saw today on a lot of occasions. And partnership wise as well, this is something that I cannot really blame the manager on, because we really don't have any other options to play alongside Casemiro. That we don't have Ugarte, we don't have Mino, we don't have any other player who can be quick or physical enough to actually take some of the pressure off in that midfield. So, and especially when you've got someone like Bruno, who I would say is not known for actually keeping the ball in really well or maintain possession when you're trying to build the attack from the back. It just makes a very imbalanced midfield. So I think the way we are setting up has a bit to do with it, but I think he's going to be sticking with this system, because I think by the time next season comes in, he already has it in his mind which players he wants to let go, which player he wants to actually come in. And in one way, I am happy that he's going with it. In one way, I'm kind of disappointed as well, because the results are just getting worse and worse. And in one way, you look at it and you go, maybe we salvage something out of the season, but the way things are looking right now doesn't look like it's going to be happening anytime soon. So I think some of the blame does fall on the manager, because I'm not saying that this formation or this system cannot work in the Premier League. I think it can work really, really well, but you need good alternatives and you need adequate bench strength for it to work. Because when you've got 2 players in those pivots actually working off for you week in and week out, 2 players working off for you week in and week out in those wing back positions as well, players are going to get knackered. Even Dallo got knackered today. Bruno looked completely off the pace today. And this is something...
Sorry, I'm just going to get my charger.
Yeah. Sure. Go do your thing, man.
Yeah.
And one thing that actually surprised me today was we had a good break, like of a week or something since that Leicester game. So I expected players to actually be well rested. I expected them to have a bit more energy, but it just looked like every drop of energy was sucked out of them 10 minutes into the game itself.
Yeah, I think it's a small sample size for me. You look at Dorgu today, who I thought was decent, and we'll speak a bit more on him, and maybe another positive as well shortly. But that was a player who Amorim wanted to bring in. This is a kid who's coming on, what is he on, 40 grand a week, something like that, costs us £25 million. That's just one player who's come in, who's made a world of a difference in comparison to Diego Dalot. You allow a few more of these kind of signings to come in, a profile that he needs, I'm telling you, you will absolutely see a change in this team. And I was having this conversation with mates before, but I was trying to say, like, you haven't watched him at Sporting, you haven't watched Sporting play football. If you've seen the way he sets up and the way they play, like, they can play entertaining, energetic, high-press football, but he just simply has not got the tools to do it. So maybe he does need to adapt, but none of us have our UEFA B licenses. None of us can tell him how we think he should do it. We just know we're watching it, and we know something needs to be tweaked. I don't know what that is. I'll leave that up to the coaching. But before anyone jumps back in, because I've not read any of the comments, so I just want to read a few out, and then we'll dive back into the conversation, okay? Right, win was there for the taking. Spurs were not good today. We had chances and didn't bury him. That's from Punch Pain. Andy Williams with the positivity as always. Ineos out, simple as that. That's from Mr. Williams.
Is he Amorim out yet, or is that going?
Rayanator, I don't get what the harm was with paying 5 mil for Tell, because now with Ahmad out, that's the season just written off. Off topic, but how in the world did we lose 5 players in a free week for training? That is crazy, isn't it, lads?
Yeah.
I'd
5.
That's one of the things that really surprised me a lot.
We didn't even know about Yoro and fucking Ericsson until today. I was like, why the fuck are they not in? And they went, oh yeah, they're sick. And you're like, fuck's sake, man.
If you look at the caliber of players that are missing, I know a lot of them have been injury prone. Let's say in the magical world where they was fit, Shaw, Mount, Lissandro, Ahmad, like these players definitely would have a big effect on how we're setting up and how we're playing. I'm not putting any pressure on Amorim. Keep the focus on cups onto the next game. Good question, random guy. I was wondering the same. What the hell are we doing picking up these injuries in training? I would not be surprised if the WWE is training with our team. On Ruben, as long as we don't get relegated, he leads next season, and I hope and pray Glinios back him. But from now till May, he must trust and back the youth. League is a hideous write-off. We'll not get in a relegation battle. Please stop the noise. Right, look, there was a lot of negatives in that game, and we could sit here for the next fucking 5 hours talking about how shit we are. But go on, Sam.
Can I just touch on your point about Sporting and stuff? I don't know if you guys watched that video I put in the chat that The Athletic did about can we judge Ruben Amorim yet? If you watched that. But within that video, they show the graph of like when Sporting on the way down like that. And then it's like, this is where Ruben Amorim came in. And then it goes all the way down here.
Yeah.
And it hits like a real fucking low point. And then all of a sudden it starts to go like this. It's like, this point is where the summer transfer window happened. And it just starts going like this. And and then he starts to dominate. And I think a lot of fans understand the logic behind, we're going to have to suffer. It's going to be painful. And this season's going to fucking suck. But they're not ready for the reality of it. Like week after week, just fucking putting up with this and just dealing with it and just waiting. They're not ready for it because they want it to be fixed quickly. And they think if the sugar daddies of Qatar came in, everything would be fixed magically. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. It needs time. We need time. And you need to give the manager time. That's all it is. So that's just all I wanted to touch on.
Yeah, I think he's the right guy for the job. I mean, he has to be. You know, I mean, everything that he's done. Sorry?
I said I fucking hope so.
Yeah, I mean, bro, he has to be, because if he's not, then we're in for something. And I understand the situation that he's walked into. Like he's literally walked into an absolute shit show. You know, some of the players who, like Sam said, could have been a difference are injured. Mount could have been a difference. Ahmad is off. You know, Luke Shaw could have come in for Lissandro. We used to get a lot of chances coming in from the back. That's not really happening. Pause.
If Ahmad's in that game, we'd probably get a goal. I think
we draw that game.
Yeah, we draw. Yeah, we at least get a goal. You know, so it's one of those things. But I think people just need to manage their expectations and be ready. But it's really hard in this banter era, social media era, to have patience, because you know you can't even open social media. Everyone's trolling you, the WhatsApp groups and all that kind of stuff. So of course, like fans kind of get impatient, but I think this is when you earn your stripe as a Man United fan. We can't be glory hunters anymore. We can't be, because there's what glory is there anymore. So this is where you earn your stripes, and this is when supporting your club really, really takes meaning. Like the phrase, being a Man United supporter. You can't just jump ship. But so yeah, it's one. I just wanted to add to what Sam was saying, and I think just to let everyone know, like, it might even get worse, man. But just have to stick.
Random is saying any positives from the game to date. Let's speak on a couple of them. Patrick Dorgu, Shreyas, I thought was pretty good for the most part. Some physical duels, winning him, pace, and not only that, he was quite cute on the ball as well. Like certain little like in between players, and I quite like the look of him. Crosses into the box. Obviously, we spoke about Garnacho ignoring him as well.
He was trying to nudge him off the ball, and he's shaking him off, and he'd get away.
What did you make of his performance, Shreyas?
Yeah, he looked really well. He fits very well as that wing back, because whenever we didn't move the ball, back actually makes in this team. When we had more width, we had one more option. Whenever Garnacho tried to interchange, whenever move out wide, and Dogu moved more inwards. So I just wish that he would be involved a bit more when it came to the final third, because he was there a lot of times, but he was ignored. But I think from a performance point of view, probably one of our better performers. And considering the kind of team that he's playing in right now, to come in as a fresh signing, not with a lot of experience, he's done a very good job to actually make a mark in this team, to actually come off as someone who's actually shined in a game where no one else really hasn't. And it's good to see that at least whatever players we are buying are actually looking like some as a player who can actually make a difference in this team in the long run. So at least the little pieces that we're trying to fit into this team, if they are working, it's a feint, but it's a positive sign.
Yeah, Sam, I said before the game, there's two things that United are craving at the minute: intensity and athleticism. And I think Dorgu offers that, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, he was really good. I was really impressed. Actually starting at left wing back, which is what we were all begging for when he started again in at right wing back, and we were all just like, what's he doing? But yeah, started left wing back, really good runs, made some great underlap and overlap that got ignored continuously by Garnacho. So God knows what we could have done, or created even more chances if he would have used him at some points. Obviously, you don't have to use him at every point, because sometimes he's just making space for you to run into him. Yeah, but change it up. Like sometimes use him, sometimes don't. Like just keep the defenders guessing. But the defender knew. The defender didn't even have to worry about Dorgu. He's not going to pass to him. So just let him go. It's fine. Yeah. So I think he made some good runs. You were right. He's sort of really tight on the ball. Like he could move it around, like get around defenders. He was strong. Couldn't get like shoved off like thing. And then fucking Onana almost put him in it as well. He had to take that yellow card, didn't he? Like Jesus Christ,
that throw
put him right in this shit there. Like that is
he's another one who
but he dealt with it well. Like he was like he knew he was gonna have to take the yellow just to stop that, and he dealt with it well. So I think Dorgu and I think Xerxes deserves a shout. I think Xerxes was decent. I thought he played really well. Should have scored the sitter, the header. He should have done way better with that. But apart from that, I thought he had a good game.
I was just about to I've purposely left that last because I wanted to ask Civir about that, because I remember you said a lot of the times, pre-match and post-match, I want to see Højlund and Xerxes play together. Obviously, they started today. You started to see that relationship a little bit. I know we didn't necessarily get anything productive at the end of it, but there was something there to work with, wasn't there?
Yeah, because at least we saw Højlund just a little bit more than how we normally see him in the game. Like he wasn't completely missing. Xerxes adds a little bit more physicality there with his height. He's just a bit more present and is able to draw a few defenders on. Obviously, it will need time if this is going to be, for the rest of, if we're going to see this more, it will need time for both of them to kind of build a relationship, because they're two different players completely. Like their profiles are different. One's very direct, the other one likes to play in tight spaces and is comfortable on the ball. But yeah, it was good. It was good to see. Xerxes had a good game, I think, as well, as Dorgu. I'd just like to see a little bit more from Højlund. And I know it's not for a lack of trying, because you could tell like, he's really trying to influence the game, but it's just
he got a couple of shots today, though, because Xerxes was playing it behind him. He got a couple of shots away, which in the last few games, I don't remember him having a shot at all.
Yeah.
None of them, not one of them are top draw finishers.
No.
Not even close to it. Well, I see attackers in... Go on.
No, finish.
I would say I've seen attackers in the Premier League can go up and down the table, all throughout, who have much better finishes. As a collective group of attackers, are far better finishers than us. Like we should have definitely converted one of those chances, two of those chances today.
I'd say
minimum, fucking bare minimum. And you don't score goals. It's like that's the be all and end all of football. Period.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Literally, especially if you're not providing it, you're not providing anything else. If you're just there to score and you're not scoring, then But just to answer, just a little bit more positivity, because I think it was Punchpoint who was asking like what positivity you can get from that. At least we saw chances being created. I don't know if that's from Spurs ignorance or if it's the way they set up. But I think at least we got a few more chances than usual than we would normally see. So if you can count that as a positive, then yes, that's one thing at least I'd say. We did try, and I think it was our first attack of the game. Do you remember that when we actually attacked them for the very first time, and it looked like we're actually going to score, like the keeper had to make a save, and then there was a defensive clearance. So that was refreshing to see, because I mean we know how the first half has gone normally. Like we've gone whole first half, no shot on target, nothing. So. Maybe that's just something that we can kind of grasp on, but I know it doesn't give much relief. Or
Gino, another positive. I know he only got 3 minutes, and he maybe should have got 10 or 15 minutes, but he got to make his debut, which is always nice to see an academy kid get his debut, despite the fact it was only for 3 minutes.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming out from Amorim. There's a lot of quotes. I'm not going to get into them all. We'll save them. If you want to go check them out, I'm sure they'll be on our Instagram, which is Real Reds Talk. Drop us a follow on Twitter, Insta, and TikTok for more videos, updates, and news and stuff. I'm just praying, lads, that Ugarte is back or someone is available, even if it's Collier.
How bad is it?
I don't know. I didn't think Ugarte was as bad as Mayus or Ahmad, but just a doubt.
He said him and Collier were a doubt for the Spurs game, but Mainu's out for weeks, 6 weeks, and then Ahmad's done for the season.
Yeah.
So. We need just one of them, just one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because you can't play Casemiro and Bruno again. You can't do it. Teams will. I mean, I've been watching Everton recently. We play next, right? Them under Moyes are a good team. Very good team.
Hard. They work really hard.
There's no team right now in the league who can't beat us.
No, but I mean specifically Everton. The reasons why is because of their physical profile. It's because they've got strong runners in the team, and they'll run us ragged as well when we play them.
Are we playing home or away?
Away. That could have
away.
Fuck off.
But we're shit at home anyway, so it's kind of like
what really matter, does it? Like,
we're gonna lose either way.
Mate, we could play on an island in the middle of the Pacific. It won't fucking matter. It's just.
I'll just finish off with these last few comments. Is a 10-point cushion enough to ignore the league entirely?
No.
As long as you don't get relegated. Yeah. No.
I don't know.
I mean, our next two games. Our next two games are against people below, so we can't be comfortable just now. Like we have to beat Ipswich and Everton, and then we can think about being comfortable.
Part of the bus, Tony Pulis football until the end of the season. Why not? Lewis, Nick with the Elton John look. Go on, Nick. Thank you very much. Højlund might be one of our worst signings ever in relation to finances. We bought him for 70 million after he scored 10 goals in a full season.
I would like to raise Mason Mount.
I'd like to raise Anthony.
That's another one. Mason Mount, we bought him for 65 million in the last year of his contract, and he's played how many games for us? About 3?
But I don't know. No idea.
It's probably Mount.
And he's on what? How much is he on a week? Like 275k a week?
Yeah. Recruitment in general.
Terrible.
Has been crap. The fact Ugarte and Collier couldn't be benched today with no game for 6 days is frightening. Who's worse signing, Højlund or Anthony? Anthony, hands down.
Anthony.
No,
Hands down.
Højlund, man. Højlund.
Anthony.
At least
the
Anthony.
amount of money we put on him, that's insane.
Well, at the very least, at least with Anthony, we've had some moments with him where he saved the game against Liverpool. He saved that game.
When
we have with Højlund. Højlund just give us loads of moments.
Save us games.
Højlund pretty much kept us in the Champions League. If Onana hadn't chucked it in the net, we would have been through in the Champions League for Højlund.
Before we dive into this, They're both shit because we're going to be here for hours, lads. You know what I mean? But we've got a WhatsApp for that. You know what I mean? We can go back and forth for that.
I'll just throw in Alexis Sanchez as well, by the way.
No, that was
There's a whole long fucking list of players that we've got. And that is the issue. We've come full circle. We're shit. We've got a load of players that are shit. It's going to be tough. Dig your heels in until the end of the season. Let's see what happens. Apart from that, it's going to be, I would say, up and down. Mostly just a downward trajectory now until the summer, I reckon. So
positive, Nick. We don't have to watch a United game for 6 days.
There you go.
That's good. Yeah.
That's positive. And would we all agree probably Xerxes and Dorgu are players of the match if we was to so-called pick one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Right, yeah, like I said, you'll see many more updates on our Instagram, our Twitter, so get over there and drop us a follow. On TikTok as well, I'll be dropping a short video momentarily, so go and enjoy the rest of your weekend if you can. Appreciate Civir, Shreyas and Sam for spending time with us on this terrible day, and we'll see you guys in the next one, yeah? Take it easy, everyone.